following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
On this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr., we welcome back PBA superstar Nate Garcia and PWBA superstar Elise Bolton back to the show. We'll talk about Nate's recent doubles run with Walter Ray Williams Jr., Elise's recent cruise, this time she wasn't on the show during it, how it felt meeting Rad Rob in person, and so much more. Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. starts now.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop.
Hey y'all, Jacob Wetrup here.
Jeff Riggles here from 11thframe.com.
Hey guys, Chuck Ritchie here, formerly of Bolt TV.
Hey guys, this is Ryan Schaefer of track staff at Valley Bowling Center in Waverly, New York.
And you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Yo, the boys from Straight Up 5, Rad Rob, Dr. Ocho, and of course, JP Jr.
Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation.
Strike, and they claim it. Similarly does it.
So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob Francois. Rad Rob Francois. Dr. Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob Francois. It's that time of the year where I get sick, thanks to my germ magnet kid, but I am a pro, I am here, and I will get through it. I just want to put myself over so you guys can realize that I am a professional. Before we bring on our co-host, let's check in with the chat and see who we got here hanging out. We're already 60 strong. We just started the show. Good bless. BSJ83, great job, Rob, on Fef's show last night. I think Dr. Ocho was a little jealous trying to take your spotlight. I appreciate that. Fantastic show that Fef has. It was such a pleasure coming on. I'm actually going to show like a little quick highlight package of my appearance on there because I like watching myself. John Willock is here. Good evening, sir. Welcome. Brian Hare is in the house. Hello, sir. We got Nico, who was in the chat last night during my appearance on Bowling with the Fef. What's going on, Nico? Billy M is here. Hello, sir. Crambone, David Crandall, the only guy from our chat that subscribes to my gaming channel. But that's cool. Chuck Ritchie is in the house. Chuck Ritchie had some very nice things to say about me that was shown to me by Fef on the show last night. It was very, very nice. Elise as well. So thank you guys for that. And there is the Fef himself. I'm here because I like my bowling live streams unfettered. And that's exactly what this show is. Rounding out the chat right now, Stayingman78. What's going on? Welcome, everybody. We appreciate everybody being here. Billy Bevernage. What's going on, brother? What's going on? All right. Here is a quick little segment, a little highlight reel from Bowling with the Fef last night.
Bowling with the Fef.
Fef, thanks for having me on, brother. I've been watching your show for quite some time, and you're also pretty standard in our chat as well. So thanks for having me on.
Who is Doc Sullivan?
Thankfully, we have very, very good chemistry together, all three of us. And we're kind of in a rhythm now, kind of like in the pocket. Unintended, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I put them in a position to where they're best suited. I kind of try to play to their strengths, and I know what their weaknesses are, and I try to make them look as good as they possibly can. So yeah, there are a lot of times where I may tee it up because I know they're just gonna take it and run with it. sarcastic, witty, snarky. Yeah, that's Dr. Ocho.
Yeah.
And deep down, I mean, when you get to know him, he's still a douchebag.
Even better looking than his biceps indicate.
And yeah, we didn't start off as a guest-driven show, and I don't really think we are. We've just been blessed to have a lot of people want to come on our show. It got to a point to where, you know, some people message Johnny and be like, "I want to be on your show," which is really cool. Like, that's kind of how you know you're doing a good thing, when people in the community and in the profession, you know, professional bowlers themselves, message you and say, "Hey man, I really dig your show. I'd love to come on and chat with you guys. You guys are awesome." Yeah. So that's probably the biggest compliment that we could get, is when people from the industry want to be on the show. Thanks again to Andrew Pfeffer and Bowling with the Pfeff for having me on last night. Such a blast. I did kind of peel back the curtain a lot during the interview and kind of let out some of our secrets here from the show, and I didn't want to give it all away. So definitely subscribe to Bowling with the Pfeff on YouTube, and don't just check out my show. Check out the other amazing shows that he has. He's been doing a lot longer than us. But again, thanks for having me on, brother. All right. Let's bring in our special co-host. Actually, he's not special. I said during that little promo package that he was a douchebag, and he really is. And you know, usually I'll just pump up his mask and pump up his biceps and try to put him over and give him a great intro. But I'm sick and I don't feel like it. So hey, Dr. Ocho, what's going on, dude? Oh, you look the same as always.
You're sick and you still have no problem being a freaking total sociopath. Like you
have no problem hooking up your microphone.
Oh, microphone. Hang on. Don't worry about that, because I had to give me 1 second now, because now while I'm at it, I see that hang on.
If you were on time, we could have had a sound check and we could have avoided this.
No. And here's the other thing. I jumped in the chat because I wanted to double the people listening, because Rad Rob was on. You just made a video freaking montage of yourself.
Myself, yes, I did.
The montage should have been you saying the word "thoink" and then gone to the show. That should have been it.
Don't make me laugh.
Let's watch the highlight reel. Thoink, boom, and we're back.
I don't ever put myself over on this show, so it was my time.
You just did. I'm sick and I'm still here, and look at me, and then you put a picture of you from 20 years ago up afterwards, like I'm Rad Rob.
You're such an asshole. I deserve that.
You sociopath, mother grabber. Jesus, I cannot believe everyone's gone. Look, the whole chat's gone, all because of that. Took you 20 minutes just to tell everybody how you were on a show that I had to fucking make interesting.
Did I get under your mask a little bit?
What mask?
All right, while you work on your microphone, I'm going to bring Johnny on. Let's also introduce the man of the hour. He is the man with the name of the marquee. Number 7 in your program, number 1 in your hearts, the sexiest man in the world. Actually, you know what? Maybe he's tied with our special guest tonight, and I won't tell you which one. But here he is, the one and only Mr. Johnny Petraglia Jr. What's going on, JP?
I've got more years on Bolton. I'm definitely the sexiest.
Okay, that's fair. No, that's fair. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, man.
You know, I mean, it's that time of year. I mean, it's not fucking light out at 8 o'clock anymore.
Yeah.
So no beautiful sunsets today, but I'm doing good, man. It's a pleasure to be back as always. Feeling nice, kind of reserved tonight, little chill. Looking forward to some great combo with some great people.
Well, I'm glad that you're here, and I'm glad Ocho's here, but I'm really glad that our special guests are here because they're both lovely and talented in their own right, and they've been on the show previously. At some point, I just like having their friends back on the show. You know what I mean? Because they're just cool to talk to.
You have no friends, Rob.
Shut. I swear to God. Let's not waste any more time. Let's bring on our very special guest, Nate Garcia and Elise Bolton. Good evening, Nate and Elise. Thanks for being here.
Thanks.
What's up, guys? Rob, I'm your friend.
Thanks, Elise. I appreciate that. I got one friend.
Now I have one. Now we're both equal.
It is confirmed that Johnny Petraglia is the sexiest man alive. So.
Okay, well, hey, I mean that's coming from a guy like you.
Thank you, Nate, very much.
Nate. But,
when Long Nate says it, it's fact.
That is very true. But no, I appreciate you guys coming back on, and it is funny that Elise messaged me last week and said, I'm going on a cruise this week just in case you need guests on your show. Because the first time she was on, obviously she was on her cruise ship, and Nate was just sitting in the room trying to be quiet. So it was pretty funny that you messaged me that, and
then we let him talk for the second show. That's nice of us.
It was. We had to have him on.
Better than him bear crawling behind me to go to the bathroom on the cruise that no one actually knew about.
I was in a war zone.
So how was your cruise, Elise? I followed you on Facebook or Instagram and saw the fun pictures you had, but it looks like you guys were having a blast.
Yeah, it was super chill. We actually got roasted on the cruise for not drinking. I didn't realize you weren't allowed to go on a cruise without drinking.
You're not really. Unless you're a kid.
Apparently, I did not know that was like the law of cruises. But yeah, me and my friend we were in bed by like 10:30 every night, didn't drink. It was super just like chill to get ready to go on my travels with him because he keeps me busy. So
he certainly does. But that's if the pictures you guys took were you being sober, I can't imagine what it would have been if you're drinking. So it was very entertaining to follow on Instagram.
Guess I got to go check out that Instagram page because I'll wait behind.
But
plugs in now, so go follow Elise Bolton on Instagram.
Yeah, feel free.
Absolutely. Johnny, it's your show, brother. You got anything for our special guest?
Yeah, actually, I kind of want to start off here with Nate. The recent doubles event with Walter Ray. How's the physical game feeling? What's the prep heading into the season? What are your plans and intentions as the tour is beginning to start up?
Yeah, so just to recap the regional with Walter, it obviously was a lot of fun. Anytime you get to lace them up with arguably one of the greatest of all time, it's an honor. And we won that event last year, so I was greatly looking forward to bowling that event again. We had very high hopes going in. Practice session was great. I was actually lost for about 30, 45 minutes in the practice session, and Walter actually gave me like a tip to just help my ball reaction get a lot better. So the end of practice that worked, and then the next day we started off hot. Obviously ups and downs wherever, but then when it time to come into reactive, I was doing the trick that he taught me, and it was really good. We bowled not what we wanted to. We still had a chance to make it going into the last game, and ironically, I just sat on the pair. We were hitting 1 and 2. I don't know if it was a good pair or a bad pair, to be honest with you, but I was just sitting there. They had about 3 frames to go, and I'm like, I'm going to shoot 300. Like, we need a big one. I see ball reaction. I know what I'm going to do next. And I fired off the front 7, and I thought I needed to make a move on the left lane, and I did. I threw it a little bit hard, I guess, watching the film back, like I said, on the YouTube video, and I 210. So that was unfortunate, but I ended up striking out for 260, and we fell just 20 pins short. I know we both missed a couple spares, so we could find the 20 pins. We could find the 20 pins anywhere, but it was a lot of fun. And anytime that Walter says, like, yeah, I want to bowl with you, he was my childhood hero. Like, growing up, I watched him all the time on TV, so to have it come full circle to bowl with him is truly something special. So,
Nate,
yeah.
Correct me if I missed it, but what was the trick that he showed you, and what were you not seeing in the early going? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So when I went to reactive in the practice session, my ball was either doing one of two things. It was either overhooking or never hooking, and I found myself like getting too far to the left. So when you get left, you have to slow hook it, especially in that building. You can't really throw it too hard because even though we are bowling on wood, the ball wouldn't do the right thing. So I was kind of caught in the middle, and he's like, why don't you move back to the right a little bit and pretend like you're going to throw a spare ball, but at the last second, just touch the holes. I'm like, okay. And in the last 10 minutes of practice, I think I missed twice. And from anywhere. So, and then when it came to competition day, I was doing that a little bit when we were playing further to the right, and my ball reaction was really good. And then once I moved left, I was able to kind of do my normal thing. But yeah, it was pretty interesting because I've always practiced taking hand out, but not in how he was kind of describing it. So it still allowed me to be aggressive, but softer with my hand, which allowed the ball to get through the front part of the lane and still have proper ball motion in the back end. So it was pretty interesting.
It's amazing. Something so minuscule can change so much.
Oh, yeah.
Such a game of inches, bowling, isn't it?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I mean, everything comes into play, and sometimes it's more simple than we actually think. So, but to answer your question, I don't want you here, Patrick.
Yeah,
Stay in the Central. Jesus
geez.
Christ. So to answer your other part of the question with the upcoming tour season, I'm still busting my ass. I have several other things in the works, possibly. Hopefully, it's all in God's hands at this point, that are to come to fruition. But I don't think that I'll be like bowling every single PTQ. I still want to bowl World Series, Players, TOC, and then Masters and US Open. But obviously, with the changes that the PBA has made, it's making it more and more difficult for young rising talent to get out on the tour, and that's just how it is. I'm happy that the positive is that bowling is growing, and this is probably the most participation that we've had in quite some time. When I first went out on tour in 2017, you couldn't beg 80 people to bowl an extra frame stop. So it was first come, first serve, whoever got in, and I was fortunate enough to bowl those events and actually cash back in the day. But now that bowling is growing and there's more participation, I guess there is means for changes in, who is allowed to bowl and who isn't. Congrats to all of those that made it through tour trials and bowled phenomenal to get exempt. So those guys definitely do deserve it. And we're just going to have to take the harder road, which is okay.
You're still bowling a good chunk of, the main events as it is anyway.
For sure.
So you got a lot of opportunities already, so we obviously wish you well and the best of luck on the upcoming season there.
Thank you.
Rob, I think you were going to say something before I asked that question.
Yeah, I was watching the video on their YouTube channel of Nate bowling with Walter Ray, and I noticed look like you're using the U78 early, and then you switched to resin.
Yep.
What did you see there, how the lanes were breaking down, that you made that change?
Urethane tends to look good in that building, but it doesn't necessarily tend to look good when you throw it hard. So I was able to start out fairly straighter in the very beginning, and then slow hooking urethane in that building tends to look pretty decent until the front part of the lane starts to take a factor. Once that came into play, I was about 130 over after 5 games. That urethane ball wasn't going to make it any much more if I moved like 2 or 3 more boards.
Right.
And I just went to reactive and, played my strengths where I could be a little bit more aggressive with my ball speed and not feel like I had to work as much in order to have great ball motion. And a couple tricky pairs, shot 170, 190 or something like that. But obviously towards the end, I had my biggest game and, there was a lot of traffic anyways by game 8. We were already in the 4th arrow, so I didn't think that urethane was really going to do it from there. So the attention star, I threw in practice, and it looked really good. In the pro-am, it looked really good. And I'm like, well, I'm going to commit to this one because this one looks really good. So
yeah, I know you guys like that ball. Was I wrong? Did I see Walter bust out two-handed in the middle of the tournament?
He did. He busted it out. He threw a fill ball, and he tripped a 9-pin, and then he went to the next pair, and that next pair was not close. So it definitely, it wasn't there for long, but for him to do it, try it, commit to it, and, get a strike here or there, I was just like, you're a lot braver than I am because my two-handed is not there. I would have gotten way less than you. So it was pretty impressive.
I saw your video of you bowling two-handed, and I thought you looked pretty good doing it. But it's just funny that's just a baller move that Walter can just bust that out in the middle of a tournament. Like, yeah, fuck it. I don't like my look. Let's just throw two-handed for a second.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we even talked about it. I'm like, you could probably throw it two-handed. He's like, yeah, I was thinking that. I'm like, okay, well, try it. I mean, whatever. And it was okay, but, not the right ball or place for it. It could have been probably better earlier, but, he's one of the greatest at playing straight. So it really, they were just tricky pair to pair, but he definitely held me up on the games that I didn't have it. So
I know you've been to several seminars with him, but I mean, how did you actually start like bowling with him? I know you guys won the year prior, but I mean, What's that conversation like?
Oh man, it's kind of crazy. So obviously he lives in Florida, and you know, I've known him. I bowled pro-ams with him. We've had very small conversation, and there was a trios event that myself and Trevor Roberts were bowling. We're gonna bowl, and we needed a third. And Elise actually reached out to Walter and asked, like, "Hey, do you want to bowl? Like, I don't know how far this is from you." He's like, "Yeah, I know Nate. Like, it'd be cool."
Basically, I'm his agent.
Yeah. We ended up as a trio shooting 300 in the Baker format, and it just kind of started from there. He thought I was good, and everything was great. And then we still hadn't developed that like kind of friendship to where I'd bowl regionals with him. But there was this one regional I'll never forget. It was either right before or right after the TOC. I think I made it into the cut that year, to where Dick Allen was not going to bowl the over-under event that was in Cayuga Falls. That's like right down the road from the TOC. And Walter's like, "Hey, do you want to bowl?" And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? Like, let's go. Like, this is, yeah, hell yeah." And we made it to the title match that year. So pretty awesome. And then it just kind of built up from there. The next year that we went back, we led the tournament. I went 400 over for my 8 games of qualifying. We unfortunately lost in the round of 8. But still pretty good track record. And then the next one we bowled was the one that we won. And yeah, it's just been a great doubles partner for quite some time.
That's kind of a huge compliment from arguably the greatest bowler of all time to want to bowl with you. I mean, that's just it's kind of crazy. It gives me goosebumps just thinking about it.
Oh, for sure. I mean, even when we got done bowling, whether we won last year or this year, he would say, like, "Dude, you belong out there. Your game's amazing. You keep working hard." Like, and you don't think a kid from Port St. Lucie, Florida, is gonna like ever bowl with the greatest of all time, someone that you looked up to your whole life, even have the chance to meet and to bowl with him, to win with him, to have those words of affirmation come back to me. And I'm like, in my lowest moments, I'm like, when I don't think I belong, or when I don't think that I, should keep doing what I'm doing, for him to say that. He doesn't have to say that to me. He doesn't have to say it to anybody. And he went to say that and continue to provide, his knowledge and his support and stuff like that. And I'm just like, okay, like, I'm going to keep going. Like, I really appreciate that. I know something's going to click, and we're going to get back at it. So.
That's so badass. And we know he's ultra competitive. We were talking about with Barnesy last week. Where was his head at when you guys finished 14th last week? Like, was he upset? Was he pissed? Was he chill? Like, what was his mood?
If anything, he was more mad at himself because he felt like I bowled really well and that he couldn't contribute.
Wow.
And I mean, that's what it's going to be like. I've definitely bowled. I even felt when we when we finished second in Cayuga Falls, that was on me. And that point was my lowest point in my career, because we lost the first game, and I could have sent it to game 3 and I missed a 10 pin and we lost. So, it's kind of evened out. But he was kind of not like overly pissed off, because we still got to check. Like, I had to throw the first one in the 10th for us to cash, and I did. But he was, like any competitor, mad at himself, like saying, "I'm sorry, I couldn't help you anymore," and stuff like that. And I'm just like, dude, like, I get it. Like, I was pretty pissed, like, not going to lie, that we didn't make it, but not at him. Like, I wanted, because I believe that we could win every time that we bowl together. Like, I know I can win. So I was a little frustrated at myself, because I'm like, oh, I could have not moved on the 210 or whatever, thrown it better, like, to get us there, or like not missed my 2 spares or 3 spares that I missed to get us there to have a chance. But, he was like, "Dude, like, don't be so hard on yourself," and like stuff like that. So he was very, very calm. He was very acceptant of like him just not being able to bowl the best that he could that day.
Johnny?
I mean, I think it's safe to say that pretty much any bowler that ever bowls in a doubles event or has teammates, if we're bowling fantastic and our teammate is struggling, we're never going to actually get mad at our teammate. At the end of the tournament, we may say, unfortunately my teammate didn't have it today. We missed the number by X amount of pins, but you know, especially with guys like Walter and whoever else we're talking about, you know that they're out there to bowl their best. Nobody's out there bowling to not win. So, and that's one really, really cool thing about bowlers, especially when they're on the lanes. Nobody's ever looking to point a finger at anything but themselves, which, it's an individual sport for that reason most of the time. But when you're in that team atmosphere, it's an entirely different mindset. I kind of want to shift gears to the other legend in the room right now, Elise. You've been tearing down some walls lately, made a show recently, we all see. Congratulations. How's your game and what's going on with you? Because I now believe that my schedule is so off because summer is coming to an end. So I'm assuming the whole PWBA season is done now. When do you guys start back up? Give us what's going on in your world.
Yeah, so the tour is over. I had a pretty decent season. I made every cut but one that I bowled, finished top 25 at both majors. So I was very pleased with that. As from a couple podcasts, I've been dealing with injuries. Still fighting it a little bit, but to go out there, and I think I had said this on the podcast, like, I just want to go out and bowl. And I knew that if I could bowl, like, I could make every cut. Like, that was no doubt with my ability that if you give me even 80% of, my body and my talent and knowledge, I knew I could make every cut. And that's what I did. And honestly, the one I missed, it was just all spares. So I really think it just came down to me being tired, because at that point it was like later in the season and our season just go. So like, I just equate that to like, I really needed to take a break and kind of, give myself a chance to recover, but our tour doesn't really allow that. So I give myself a little break on that cut I missed, but overall it was a good season, and I kind of keep proving it to myself how, I went and made the regional show again, and I hadn't practiced in a week and a half.
For not bowling a week and a half, like, it's disgusting how she can literally just make shows, or just like even the tournament that you averaged 270. I know it was a while ago, but she didn't bowl for like 2 weeks, and I'm just like, I have to practice at least like 4 times a week in order to shoot 200. Don't
get me wrong. Like I do need to practice for sure. It definitely doesn't come easy for me. I definitely put in the work, but I feel like I do this more than Nate more now because getting hurt, I had to learn to do it, but I've learned how to like really, I don't know what's the word for it, but like, I always spend a lot of time thinking about bowling and mentally practicing. And I feel like a lot of people don't really take advantage of it a lot, but I learned how to do it more when I got hurt, through visualization too, just watching Nate. Like while I'm watching Nate, I'm like analyzing and learning like what I'm like, going to do when I do bowl next. I know that sounds really weird, but I do that a lot. So I just am proud of myself that I continue to, every time I step on the lanes, I feel like I've given myself a chance to cash, even though I bowl a lot of the men's events. I still, when we're not bowling the tour, I'm able to cash and do well with the side tournaments that I bowl with him.
I like what you said. I like what you said about the visualization there, because a lot of times when I'm struggling, I'll do a lot of mental training over physical training also. And whenever I'm stuck in a tournament, I kind of try and visualize like Parker Bone at the 97 Showboat or some tournament where I remember him just mauling him and just posting it at the foul line. And I almost try and envision that I'm him in that moment in real life to kind of get myself back together, at least from the mental standpoint. Yeah. At least for me, it allows me to almost like decipher the physical problems I'm having just strictly with the brain. It's crazy how it works. I don't know if you do it kind of similar to that or a little bit. I'm assuming everybody's different. But yeah, when you brought that up, I thought that was pretty cool because I go through that as well.
Yeah, for me, it kind of goes back to this like saying I remember Dr. Dean, like way in the past, I think it was when I was on Team USA, being like, every time you walk in the lanes, it's like your signature. And it's like, you already know how to write your signature. It's just like getting up there and doing it. So I kind of do it like that. It's like, I feel like some people, again, I do practice a lot, so I don't want to say don't practice, but now that I've practiced a lot, I know I can still do it. It's not like I'm going to lose everything in a week or two. It's just not going to happen. So if I just kind of, hey, here's my signature, I already have it done, just get on the lanes and just kind of let everything go blank, my body's naturally going to do what I've practiced so much for. And then obviously the mental part of it, I always say my mental game. If Nate had the same mental game as me, he'd probably have 45 titles on the national tour. But my mental game is definitely the thing that gets me through when I can't practice, because at the end of the day, bowling, you know, is highs and lows. There's never like a steady playing field. You know, you're always on a roller coaster. And just remembering that when you're bowling, even if you practiced every day before you went to the tournament, just knowing that no shot is guaranteed, even if you throw the best shot. So that,
you know, we talk about this on here all the time, and we talk about how everybody's brain operates a little bit differently, and it's 100% true. You're talking about it. If Nate had your head game, I'm on the same boat with Nate then in that respect, because as easy it is for you to sit there and say, you know what, I remember how to sign my signature. I get up there and I just do it, and I shut everything out and I calm everything down. I can achieve that too, but for me, it happens with this stuff. You know? And it's the only way that I can get my brain to operate is like once I've had like 5, 6, 7 of those, then all of a sudden I'm like, oh shit, I'm on top of the world. I can do anything.
Yeah.
Problem is after 8, 9, or 10 that I can't really see the pins, even though I think I can. But it's
the more pins you see, the more you're going to knock down. So really, don't think about it that way.
As long as, according to Mike Marcus,
you're probably going to get 10.
hit the one in the middle, hit the one in front. But yeah, I mean, it's I think about that all the time. Like my dad's career, what made my dad so great was he had no other options. He was living in Brooklyn, and back then it was either you were going to be in a gang, you were going to be in the mob, you were going to do whatever your father did, whether it was dyeing fur or running a fruit stand or whatever it was. And he made his way out by just bowling with any money he could find, any backers, anybody that wanted to put him in action matches. Yeah. And he always bowled with his back against the wall for his entire career. I grew up, I guess, in the bowling world with a silver spoon, where I never had my back against the wall in the bowling world. So it's a completely different animal to somebody like me compared to him. But like Nate, do you find yourself when you start to stress, do you have any triggers or things that you do to try and calm your brain? Like, are you aware that your mental game, I'm not saying, I don't know if your mental game is solid or not. I'm asking based off of what Elise is saying here. Do you have tricks to like kind of calm your brain down?
Yes, this one for sure, being in the back. That definitely does help.
Very good answer, young man. Very
good. But yeah, you know, for the longest it was really, really bad. And I think that I've made a lot of progression up until this point. I used to 2 frames in, if I don't have a double, like I'm freaking the hell out. It's been a lot better. I've been a lot more patient. This weekend, I felt like proved that. I learned a lot at team trials. Tour trials. The number one thing at tour trials that I took away, even though I was injured and I couldn't finish, I wasn't patient. I wasn't very patient with myself, because I'm at tour trials and I'm like, I'm supposed to make this. Like, I'm supposed to be through, like, all the hard work, blah, blah, blah. And I still felt unprepared. Unprepared with a couple different things during that week. But the number one thing was mentally, I was not prepared. I jumped the gun too quick on just a couple different things, with whether it be moves or whether it just be like how I was thinking about things. I was journaling for the first 6 games, and then I stopped doing that because I was, upset about my fingers. I was upset that I wasn't performing at my highest level. That one game I literally missed 4 spares. I don't know why, but and luckily Steve Jacobs was there to help me battle through that. But honestly, the things that calm me or bring me back is kind of interesting. Like, I light a fire under my ass, which was kind of crazy. The last day that I bowled tour trials, which was day 3, block 1. Obviously, things weren't going my way, but I won't go very much into detail. But somebody put me up against someone else during that block for money per game, and they said, quote unquote, "Oh, I could beat Nate," and I'm like, "Who in the fuck thinks they can beat me?" And I saw red for 3 games. I went 180, 260, 250. Like, wow. Yeah. So I went nuts, and I was running out every shot like it was my last. And that's just what kind of gets me going, like, you know, and it's not necessarily like my adrenaline like gets pumped up and like I start like losing vision or anything. Like I'm just more locked in, whether I'm bowling on dead flat or the China, and I love it. Like when people, yeah, go ahead. Oh,
you're muted, John.
I was like, is this the segment where we like guess the lips? Like...
I was gonna say, Nate, I have a follow up here. First, I have a question, which I think I already know the answer to, but then I want to say something about what you just said.
Yeah.
Do you feel more comfortable? Do you feel like you have more control of a car when you're driving it at 30 miles an hour or 80 miles an hour?
30.
Oh, you do? Okay, never mind. Totally disproves the.
Yeah, I'm totally out.
Either way,
I was gonna say, it almost seems like when you're on the lanes, sometimes you'll run into a funk where you're almost slowing yourself down to match the pace, rather than allowing the pace to match the speed you want to operate at. Like you're young enough where you can put the pedal to the metal. I mean,
for sure,
from shot one if you want to, and still make it through an 8-game block. That's like when I drive a car, when I'm going 30 or 35, I'm like, I'm kind of like wobbly. Like I can't even keep it in the lines because I feel like I could walk faster. But if I'm going down the Garden State or the Turnpike or something like that, I have no problem maneuvering through traffic at 90 miles an hour if I have to. And I feel a lot more comfortable when I'm doing that because my brain is quick. It doesn't like when things are slow. So that's the reason I actually kind of made the reference, because when you said that's when somebody gave you the little push, I like that jolt too. And that's usually what makes me just bolt 260, you know? So I thought that was interesting though. All right, so
yeah, no, I guess to follow like what you were saying is like, I guess how I get to that 90 miles an hour. Cause like if I go 90 miles an hour from 0 to 90 out of control, like that's when things start to like go down. But like, if I'm like kind of cruising and like everything's like whatever, like, and I'm in a mindset of like, okay, I need to get back up, and then something like that happens, or like something were to piss me off like mid block, it's like I know how to get there, like, because I was already in kind of control. So that's why I said the 30 miles an hour. But yeah, no, I mean, if something gets me going, I'm ready to go. So like it was but yeah, it was pretty interesting, and that was the best I bowled the whole entire whatever. Even though I started out day 2, 280, 260 on the second day, I felt like day 3, I executed way better. So I guess we kind of veered off like the original question, but mentally, that's what it was. Mentally, I've grown a lot. And over the years, I've kind of made excuses for myself when I don't make excuses for when something's wrong. Like my spare shooting is wrong, my physical game is wrong. My mental game was wrong, and I was making every excuse in the book for it, of like, oh no, you know, I was just pissed off for a minute, or oh no, like, you know, that person, you know, they shouldn't have caught me, blah, blah, blah. And like, I was just making every single excuse. Whereas like, you just need to take more accountability, and you know, this is an issue and you want to get to this goal. How can you get to this goal if this is still the issue? So I've definitely taken more accountability in that. And I've worked a lot harder in that. And I've just come to accept what is in front of me more. Like, okay, yeah, I split. I threw a great shot. Like, I committed to it. That happens. All right, we got to move forward. Yeah, am I going to be pissed off because I could have made like $300 more brackets? Yeah, sure. But I'll go get it next game with like whatever, and just kind of keep it going. So
just listening to your responses, it shows how much you've grown and matured in the sport, and it's gonna pay dividends. It has to.
I appreciate that.
What were you going to say, Elise? I'm sorry.
No, I was just telling Nate that I sometimes, because he's so like, I'm competitive too, but I'm also in the sense where I like kind of understand everything that's going around me, especially in like a sport where we're competing against like everyone individually, where I think Nate sometimes forgets, like when the lanes are hard or like when you split, he forgets that everyone is on the same playing field. I'm like, everyone is going to split. I hate to, like, I'm sure anyone who's won a title, they split during the tournament, they missed a spare. Sometimes he forgets about that. So I told him, the only way to like describe it is he cuts himself and he never puts the Band-Aid back on. So he's just like bleeding while he's bowling, and still bowling whatever, like still being able to compete, but not at his highest level because he's not, covering it up to keep it from bleeding. Like that, he's still able to function, but not properly.
The
And
pursuit of perfection is normally a sign of a brilliant mind. And it seems like I get like that sometimes too, where it's, yeah, I know the field is averaging, like the tournament leader's averaging 210, but why am I not bowling 240? Like I'm supposed to be the greatest. Everything is supposed to be perfect. What's going on? I don't want to freaking bowl 190 and miss a spare and leave a split. You know, I get it. It's awesome.
I think sometimes bowlers forget to average 210. You don't have to bowl 210 every game. You can shoot 240 and you can shoot 180. You can shoot the 260. Like it's not just 210, 210, 210. You know, like at the last regional, I went even. They were really hard, but I did shoot a 170, but I shot the 220 to like make it even. And then the rest were, 190 to whatever. Like you don't average 210 by bowling 210 every single game.
Absolutely. It's very, very hard to go out there and bowl a clean game with 2 doubles for 215 every single game of the tournament.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. You're going to go open and throw a 7-bagger sometimes, but it's the people that can throw the open and throw the 7-bagger because they mentally were like, okay, whatever. I threw a bad shot. I missed the transition and now it's go time. And that's really the difference between the guys that are at the top or the higher level pros is that open doesn't phase them. They're just like, all right, need to throw a 4-bagger. Who cares? It's the same as spare.
Absolutely.
I've seen the dichotomy between you two in person, and you're both very passionate. You're both very emotional, but you're both very hard-headed as well. And I won't exactly say what Nate had said to you, but he had said something obviously that pissed you off, and you weren't bowling.
All our audience members, it wasn't like the end of the world. So
no, it wasn't. No, it wasn't. But
I forgot what it was actually. See, this just shows our relationship. Like
exactly.
We piss each other off, but I'll be like, "Do you remember that one time?" He's like, "I don't remember." I'm like, "Me either." Like, what was it?
And that's kind of what I was leading to. Is even in one of your recent videos, Nate's like, "We flew here. You want me to rent a car, and go home? Like that's stupid." And you left it in the video. Like you have no problem showing like the relationship between you two, but
that was also to motivate him. So that's like kind of things I'll do to like piss him off. I'm like, all right, if you're gonna sit here, I know it wasn't, obviously he had Walter that it's a doubles tournament, but I was like, hey, you're struggling a little bit. You lost ball reaction. Like, if we don't make this cut, like we should drive home. And he's like, F this, I'm gonna strike out. And he started striking. I was like, whatever gets you motivated.
Pan to the last game. So there's the boost that we talk about.
But I work the same way. So it's funny talking about that story when we were at the whatever. I think we were at Canes, whatever, when Nate said that was the next block. I went 150 over it, and I went with the same thumb. I think it was about my thumb. And, the same thumb, I somehow made it work. And I was like, screw you. And I actually barely missed. No, I made the check. So after being 150 out, I made the check. And I was like, sometimes it just takes that person that's the closest to you to really piss you off and be like, all right, if they think this of me, I'm going to prove them wrong.
And I love that. And that's kind of where I was going at is it's almost like you guys have been married for 20 years. Like, it's just the usual married banter. You're probably going to blow it off eventually, but I like the way that you guys use it as motivating factors. And it was the thumbs. In fact, I was going to ask you if you changed your thumbs yet, because that was the running joke for that day. He won.
Oh, that's what we talked about.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's funny about that situation was I literally went prepared. It was just such a weird anomaly that happened. It honestly was so crazy. My thumb just swelled up again. It was the first swing where we had been bowling back to back, and I have been bowling with that thumb forever. And obviously tour and stress plays a little bit factor. And as a woman, especially with your thumb swelling. And that was the first time I had encountered that. And I've been using that thumb for a year. So for him to say what he said about I can't believe we came here with a bad thumb. I'm like, but I did it. The last 4 cuts with this thumb, I don't know what's going on. But no, I actually ended up, when I came back, I guess it wasn't the exact same thumb, but I did end up taking some, blowing open that thumb. I didn't want to necessarily mess with that thumb because it was my favorite thumb, and I was scared that if I messed with that one, then, I wouldn't have it once my thumb went back down. But I was like, you know what, screw this. I have nothing to lose at this point. I'm 180 pins out of the cut, and the scores are high. And it ended up working, and I bowled well enough to get a check. So, but
that's awesome.
I still use that thumb. So
That's funny. And he was like, let's just go in the fucking truck and drill a new ball. And you're like, I can't in the middle. Look at Nate. I can't stop in the middle of the tournament and just drill a whole new fucking ball. I'm not going to have confidence in throwing it, blah, blah, blah. And you guys are just going back and forth.
Well, it's because I've done that where he's like, drill a new thumb. I do it and I went down the lane. Like, I've had that happen. So, like, it's not just me being stubborn. It was literally like, Nate, we've done this. And my thumb, I'm very, like, particular. Like, my ball drillers will even tell you, like, no one likes drilling my thumb. It's very weird. And so if it's not drilled perfectly, especially after I hurt myself, like I get a little scared because like it could potentially hurt my back. So it was just me being stubborn, being like, I'd rather be 300 under than hurt myself, you know, realistically. And he doesn't really understand that as much.
I'd just rather chuck the camera and not record the rest of the vlog.
Right. Yeah.
But, you know, it made for a funny story because like that video did really well and people like ask me about it all the time because it was just funny how I went down the lane and then I threw it straight in the gutter. Like it was just embarrassing and I wanted to die, to be honest.
So Nate, in hindsight, has your opinion changed in the whole situation?
I mean, obviously, I don't know.
Do you want to sleep on the couch?
I don't know. I don't know directly what I said again, but it came from a place of love and
you just said, why did we come here not prepared? Something like that.
I mean, yeah, something along those lines. And, you know, it's because we're both competitive. We both want to win. Both like don't want to just like show up and be the laughing stock of that day. So
it definitely was the first block.
So like I say it from a place of love. I know how difficult it is to bowl with a new thumb, but if it's to the point where you can't even hold on to it or you're not even clearing it, I would try something else. That's like where I'm at with things. If like I'm bowling this bad, I will try left-handed. Like
to be fair, I did tell him, I said, let's go to the truck and I'm going to drill a two-handed ball. So I did say, I was like, the only options are we get in the truck, we pack everything up right now, game 3, or I'm going to like bowl two-handed from now on. So
and
I did give that
the car up to the front. You know, like whenever you want to go. AJ Rice is
Mr. 900's in the house.
Greatest, one of my greatest friends and one of the best on the planet. You're him, sir. Thank you for carrying me at the recent doubles that we just bowled.
And AJ. We gotta have AJ back on.
Pretty badass mother right there.
He really is.
That is a bad dude. And if you put me and him together, watch the hell out.
I believe it excessively.
Yeah.
So what I learned about you two, aside from what we see on YouTube, is you're pretty much the same as you are on camera as you are, behind the camera. You guys are probably the most realistic channel, bowling channel out there.
Thank you.
And it's just really cool to see that in person. And it's funny when I walked up to you, you kind of did double take. You're like, oh, hey, I didn't really expect you to look like that. I was kind of intimidated by you when you're on the show, but you just look like a big teddy bear. So I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, for sure.
And I felt awful like meeting you. I saw you in the back, but that was during the mental spiral. And
and I didn't want to fuck with you. So
I was like,
especially when you guys you reached out to her and I didn't know who you were. Like you guys had the line of communication, and then once I saw you in person, I'm like, Elise, are you not going to say hi to the person that literally texted you?
I was mentally spiraling right now, and I was like, if I go back there, I wasn't speaking to Nate at the time because at this point he'd already pissed me off, and I was trying to not go down the lane. So I was like, all right now he doesn't need to see me like this in my moment of desperation. But no, that's how I work mentally. Like when I'm normally talkative when I'm bowling, but when I really need to focus, I have to just kind of stay in my own lane, or I can't get back on, let's say, the balance beam. Like I got to walk straight. I can't get on there just without being pissed off. Kind of like I kind of have to be pissed off at the world to get back on track. So that's you kind of saw the worst of it, and that doesn't happen a lot. You just honestly got the one time it did happen on tour this year, and you're welcome.
Thanks, I appreciate it. I was sitting down on the bleachers, and you just came up to me eventually and said, "Hi, I'm Elise," and shook my hand. I'm like, I know who you are, but no, it was.
Movie you just
hey, Rob, look who's back.
Hi, welcome.
Oh, I have no idea how to surf the gram. I've just been literally surfing the gram. My agent was surfing the gram. My agent was surfing the gram, and I have no idea how to do it. So I don't know what I was on her page. That's as far as I got. No clue.
Okay,
No clue.
I'll bite. I'll bite. I'm going to be 40 next Wednesday.
Wednesday.
What is surfing the bag or eating the bike? What did you just say?
Surfing the gram.
Eating the bike.
Surfing the gram. What is that?
The Instagram, isn't it? Listen, I got my own lingo.
Got it.
The gram.
Got it. I thought that was like code for like you were taking a hit of weed or something.
I was eating the bike.
I'll surf the gram too right now.
Eating the bike, surfing the gram. We need to put that on a shirt. That's going to be a bestseller.
Surfing the gram. Call the art department.
Okay, sounds good. Surfing the gram.
You guys have a great knack, and I'm sure it has to do with you both being younger. But your social media presence has grown obviously over the last couple of years, and the fact that you're both pretty tech savvy. Elise, all right. Well, Nate's gracious enough to give Elise the credit for that.
Yeah, I'm giving her the crown on that.
A lot of people, I don't know if I've ever talked about this a lot, but like I did go to school for broadcast production, and I'm a very creative person. So it just like honestly, me being hurt was like the best thing that ever happened, because it was, instead of just focusing on bowling, I was like, well, if I'm hurt, I'm going to do something else. So that's when I started putting my creative hat on, and I was like, hey, like social media is the new thing. So what?
He wants us to sign his Popeye's chicken.
Oh.
But
yeah.
You can sign it like 30 times. It's a huge bucket.
Yeah.
Such a
you literally, it's like a Stanley Cup. You could fit your signature on like 80 times.
You can use the fat Sharpies.
That's true. Easily. Or the markers that smell like heroin.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we went to Canes together, me and Rob and Elise. That was good.
No, it's okay.
That's one thing I was kind of big fan was having Canes weekly.
Oh yeah.
Just the dipping sauce in the bread. I mean, that was enough.
Oh, yeah.
Are they still in business now that Rob went, or what happened?
They're doing all right.
If anything, their stock.
As a matter of fact, it's not buffet style then, right?
No, actually, yeah, Nate's right. Their stock is going.
You ever
up.
been to a Cane's, Oach? It's literally they have chicken.
Never even heard of it. I thought it was a buffet or something like that. Figuring like
the drive-through that has chicken, fries, Texas toast, and sauce, and it's fantastic.
My kind of joint.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Nate and Elise, do you guys have Zaxby's? You have Zaxby's down in Florida, right?
We do have Zaxby's.
What do you think? Who do you think's the better of the two?
Oh my God, it's Cane's. Not even close.
Oh wait, it's like a Zaxby's, because I had that in Atlanta and I never went one time. Because again, I had Ryan's Steakhouse, Golden Corral, and the Old Country Buffet. I had to freaking gain some weight, man.
It's the same concept.
In those 8 years.
So you guys like Elise? You agree? You like Cane's better than Zaxby's?
Yeah, we could have a Zaxby's right next to our house, and I would drive by it every day.
Really?
Yeah.
My wife is the opposite. They love Zax sauce. My kid actually loves Zax sauce. They think it's better than the Cane sauce, but I think the chicken is better at Cane's, but I like Zax sauce better. That's just me.
To be fair, we only eat like out when we're on the road, so we got to go to places we can't normally go to, which is Cane's. So
yeah, Raising Cane's. Yes, that's exactly right.
That's exactly.
That's funny. I forgot what I was going to say after that. Yeah, in any event. Oh no, social media. You said you went to school for broadcast something or other.
Oh yeah, I went to
Great job, Rob. Something or other.
Broadcast.
Fuck off.
Production and this was before before YouTube was a thing, So when I was learning stuff, it was writing for a newspaper, working a radio station. It was all of the old stuff that doesn't exist now. Kids wouldn't even know about it. But yeah, so when I got hurt, I was like, started just messing around with videos. And honestly, I think why our channel grew the way it was is our channel was never meant to be for anyone else. It was just me having fun and kind of just playing around with getting back into video editing and doing thumbnails. And honestly, at the time, just like making fun of Nate while he bowled most of the time because he didn't want me to do the YouTube. So it was just me like giving Nate shit on camera all the time, or like going around finding all the stupid stuff happening in the bowling center. And then once we realized people liked it, I was like, okay, my main goal is that no matter what we put, it's going to be authentic to us. It's going to make us happy. I don't care if anyone else likes it. But I want it to be real. I don't want to cut out the stuff to be like, to show professional bowling as something it's not. I want to show the real parts behind it, the parts where we fight, the parts where we're struggling, the parts where we are successful, all of it, because that's what we, don't get to see. So I think that's why it's been fun, because we don't really, again, it's a two-man show. We don't have an editor. We don't have anyone doing anything for us. So everything you see is organic, and if it's bad because we made it bad, and if it's good because we worked really hard on it. So I think it's fun to see.
Patrick DM me. I'm gonna put it in our next vlog.
What?
We're gonna put his trip fours in there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But yeah, no, going back to what you said about our channel being authentic, one, greatly appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm not, this isn't by no means like calling people out or anything like that, but I noticed the whole, when you're on camera, you act one way, and when you're in person, it's another. I've noticed that in any type, well, I wasn't, okay.
I have no problem saying it. It's,
Why, is he a dick?
There's a lot of people that it doesn't even have to just be YouTube. We obviously know a lot of these people.
Whether it's in the bowling industry or not, we just want, like, growing up, I was always the outsider, the kid that nobody wanted to hang out with, just the person to the side kind of just doing his own thing. I would never want someone else, if they came up to me, to feel like they were excluded, outsider, or, just not worth my time, because I was that to a lot of people. I would never want that to be an experience for somebody else, whether they're watching our content or whether they meet us in person. This is who you're going to get. Happy, mad, sad. This is the whole package, and I'm not afraid of it. I love myself, and I know I have different, places where I need to grow. But that's everybody does. Everybody has their flaws and stuff like that. So we all, grow. So
we also want our, like, whether it's my Instagram, my Facebook, it's like literally just whether someone agrees or not. I just like to voice my opinion or show the reality of it. Again, because the people that either cannot do what we're doing or do what we're doing and choose not to show that stuff, we want people to see that. And again, at the end of the day, I don't care if someone likes me or not. Like, this is me, and if you like me, great. If you don't, great. Doesn't change my life. At the end of the day, I treat everyone with respect. And that's why we choose to kind of leave everything we do out there in the open, because this is us, and we joke that a lot of people probably think I hate Nate, and that's just my personality.
And it's true.
Yeah, and it's actually true, because I don't want people to think I like him, so I don't like him. I'm held.
So he's still the outsider, basically. You guys are trying to make him feel, you're giving him freaking childhood nightmares now because of this.
Yeah. No, I don't. That's kind of our joke, is like, I don't want the internet to know I like Nate. So, Nate's just a very lovey person, and I'm not. So I think that's why we work, and our content is kind of funny, because it's literally me not being mean. It's just like how I am with everyone. Like, my friends that know I love them, know I really love them, because I'm just a very brash, I'll tell you how it is. I want you to tell me how it is. It's not going to hurt my feelings. So that's just how we roll over here.
I think that's how you and I get along pretty well.
We have something similar in our show too, where I really it kind of happens with me and Brad Miller. Like, when I'm on our show, I go out of my way to make everybody believe that I despise Brad and his talent or lack thereof. But deep down.
Brad, by the way, Brad is literally one of my favorite.
The nicest human beings on the planet.
Yes.
I know.
I want to say Brad is definitely one of the reasons why I went free agent this year. He was someone, because he's the person who broke out the YouTube scene. Him and Kyle and I had a couple. I just talked to him because he's been around the YouTube scene, and I was like, hey, what are we seeing? What do we think is going to work? And what is the way that the bowling industry is going? And the more and more I thought about it, it's like, no one at the higher level bowls with everything, no professional just bowls with every company. So he was really the person that kind of gave me the courage to do it. And it was scary, but shout out to Brad. I'm glad he helped me come to the realization that I really wanted to do it. And here I am.
That's good.
That's awesome. Doesn't change how I feel about him on social media.
Yeah. To be fun, this is
we love Brad.
Show how much of an ass I am is when Nate told me, we were sitting in bed, and he's like, oh, some guy last minute shot 800 to beat Brad at the USBC championship. And I just texted Brad, rest in peace. That's it. And Nate's like, you're such an ass. And I was like, but I'm actually sad.
Didn't even give the guy literally 3 minutes.
It was an hour. I just said rest in peace. And he knew, though. He's like, yeah, it was shitty. And I was like, that's just the personality I am. I'm like, I'm just so sad for him that it's just like, you're dead. I know you're absolutely dead right now. So,
where are you from originally, Elise?
Florida.
You have such a northeastern mentality. It's amazing that
you're a dick.
Florida. Yeah, you're a dude. No, you're a dick. No, it's true.
No, when someone will be like, "What's your nickname?" I'm like, "Bitch." Like that's like it's not like I'm actually the nicest person, but I'm just so like blunt that
that's what most mean people say.
No, but it's not like I just say the things that people are thinking in their
jerk
head.
off say. Like, yeah, I'm really a nice guy,
No,
but fuck off. I can't stand you. Look at
everyone's room is thinking it, but I'm gonna be the person to say it because I have no filter, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rob, she's unfettered.
She is unfettered. Absolutely.
All right, then tell the truth. How much chicken grease was on Rob's hand when you shook it?
I honestly wouldn't.
And did you shake lefty at least so you don't get it in your thumb in your finger holes?
That's probably
were you able to find?
You dropped the bowling ball. Holy shit, Rob! You got to be better than this.
Yep. Good timing. Good timing.
To be fair, I want to say thank you to Rob. He listened to me bitch for a good hour in between that block about the bowling industry. So shout out to him.
And Rob also listened to me bitch about how, Elise was ready to jump off the tallest building and be stubborn and not, do anything different. So yes.
No, I won't be jumping off a building. I want a car to hit me. Okay, let's be fair if that's how I'm going.
The car can hit you off the top of the building.
Okay.
We will definitely add to the compliments and follow that up with one for our very loyal and gracious host, Rad Rob. You are the shit, sir. So
I appreciate that. I'm
not being a douchebag like Ocho is to you. I'm actually saying that nicely.
No, it was really cool. I mean, Nate and Elise were so gracious with their time and just hanging out and just listening to them. I don't mind being a sounding board for people that need to vent and all that. I thought it was cool. I mean, give me an inside look at what we don't see, on YouTube and stuff like that. It was, and I agree with everything you guys said. And, it's funny that a lot of people in the industry have the same opinions, but won't come out and say it. And you guys aren't afraid to say what you think. So
it drives me crazy. I literally listen to people bitch all the time. And I'm like, why don't you say something? Oh, well, it'll never change. Well, no, it's never going to change because everyone just bitches about it and there's no emails written. There's no anything written. It's like, don't get me started on tour trials. Watching tour trials, I want to make a video about it because it was really annoying to watch. I'm happy that the people that made it for sure, but just simple stuff like that everyone like was sitting bitching about it in the back, but I don't see anything on social media being talked about it. I'm like, there's no change if that's.
Can you give us a little bit of what was?
This little bit's going to turn into a lot. So
it'll be. I can just say. I mean, it's the simple.
I got an ottoman over here. I can kick my legs up.
The simple fact, it's the same problem. I mean, there's still an issue with urethane on the tour. All the men are great. All the men throw it really good. But again, it goes down to transition and on the right and the left side. And it's just a fact that urethane is still an issue. They got some of the issue, taken care of, but it's not completely solved. And they still need to figure out a way to. I think this is part of the reason why we're not in the Olympics is because of what I saw at tour trials. And
that did get Chuck Ritchie fired, by the way, for voicing his opinion. Bull TV fired him, unfortunately, because of that. But yeah, I mean, there are repercussions in speaking out as well.
And that's the problem is like, and that's why I do my own thing because at the end of the day, like, I want change. Like,
I want you to be clear. Urethane is not necessarily a bad thing.
No, it's not a bad thing. It's just that.
And the companies make great urethane.
Yeah, the balls are.
Yeah,
the balls are amazing.
It has nothing to do with bowling balls and like all of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean the purple daddy is a ball I throw, but it's just it's definitely a bigger factor on the men's side. And I just hope that they can figure out something to fix the problem. Again, this is not my opinion. This is literally, I listened to about 30 to 40 different people talking about it in the back at trials every single day. It was just like ongoing thing. So yeah, it's just stuff like that. I wish more people would openly talk about instead of just whisper it in the back while it's going on.
Charles, you're the man. Appreciate you, bro. I know we don't talk much, but congrats on 20,000. And, keep doing what you're doing, bro. The hype.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it.
You guys have such a great following.
Isn't it crazy that after all these years, starting in like 92 with the Excalibur and all these years of technology with resin bowling balls, we're right back to like the mid 80s where everybody is looking on tour. Everybody is throwing slow motions. They're all throwing urethane, which are not popular sellers in the local pro shop. And then when everybody has urethane in league, they're frowned upon being used in league because who the fuck needs to throw urethane on a house shot? Yada yada yada.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
For how much hate there is for urethane, there's an awful goddamn lot of it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think that the general public just needs to be educated better. I feel like, and I'm not saying all pro shops do this, but I think there needs to be more educated. Exactly. I think that urethane needs to be educated as it is used to control patterns and to throw on shorter patterns in order to control the pattern versus it's a dry ball. It's meant for dry lanes. And that's what people are told. Yeah, my ball's hooking too much. I need, something for dry lanes. Oh, okay, we got this urethane ball for you. That's not exactly, the right thing. And especially when you're bowling on 10-1 or more, why do you need a urethane ball?
Yeah.
Right.
For me, it's the people that hit 13 different zip codes that throw urethane. That's what people don't understand. Like on a house shot, I love when people throw urethane. Actually, for me, with my slower speed, it's great. Like I'll shoot 750 every single time someone's throwing urethane that knows what they're doing. But when you get the people that are like, oh, I have this, so I'm just gonna throw urethane like this, and then they're throwing it all over the place. So then you have like you're literally front seven, and all of a sudden you throw the same shot, and your ball literally hits the six pin in the face because the balls are going everywhere. It's like that's the stuff that frustrates me. Or the people that even in a professional event, I've seen professionals at the highest level do this where they're super lost and all of a sudden they're just like, well, I'm going to throw urethane just for fun because I'm lost. And then they literally mess up a pair that someone has to go to throw a big game. And it creates an unfair advantage and disadvantage sometimes that I hate seeing it, and it's annoying.
Yeah, I totally agree. I tell you the truth. I mean, my first resort on house, if I don't, because obviously you guys know I don't use my thumb anymore, and I'm definitely rev dominant. Don't have a ton of speed. I think my launch speed is maybe 18, so it's hitting the pins at like 16, 15 and a half. But like in league, if I don't want to curve the whole lane, I'll just start with my T-zone. I'll just throw my T-zone somewhere around the track area because I know it's going to bounce off 3-4, and I know it's going to hold up 9. So I know that I have an arrow. And okay, fine. So I make it 7 or 8 frames of the first game and I start leaving black 7s. Wow. Now all of a sudden I can maybe throw a bigger ball, move in, and now I've got even more hold in the middle and all the free hook I want.
Yeah.
People will watch me throw plastic and they'll say, dude, why don't you throw urethane? You're the only lefty on the lane right now. You can build them for yourself. I'm like, that's the last fucking thing I want to do.
Right.
If I start with urethane, then I'm going to plaque with everything. And I don't have a tropical surge or a pearl raw hammer or like anything like that in my league bag. I mean, the lowest ball I got is like an Arctic Vibe or some shit like that. So I mean, I'm sure it's magnified on the right side of the lane simply because there's so many more of you, so many more, and especially in like a 5-man league with all the shitters throwing it everywhere. But,
I also said it's a bigger problem on the men's side, and this is what people don't understand, is that if your launch angles are shut down and you start with it from the right, like on the women's side, when we've had women that throw it, it then becomes a house shot because now we have kind of like a funnel where we have the dry to the right. But on the men, the problem is they open up their launch angles with it, so then you have like there's no cliff. It just becomes like flatter in the front part, taking up all the oil.
That's my brother.
Right.
So that's the problem with the guys is it's like if the launch angle stayed straighter to start with the urethane and then, everyone got in with like reactive or whatever, they would make it so much easier on themselves and you wouldn't have those pairs where it's like, okay, why do I have to now ball up to like a bigger ball, like game 7 of a block because you had everyone throwing urethane from everywhere. That's why I think it is a bigger problem on the men's side is just because of the fact that they're not just playing straight with it. They're like literally 4th, 5th arrow with it game 1. And that shouldn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, back when purples and pitch blacks were allowed, we were bowling on shark and people were crossing 15 to 20 with urethane balls trying to strike. And I'm just like, man, did I grow up in the wrong era of bowling because I have no idea what's going on in front of me. Like everything that I learned is like out the window. But yeah, no, going back to Johnny, I challenge anybody in the comment section that if they want to bowl this man with a plastic ball, I will put any amount of money on Johnny to beat everybody with a plastic ball. And that follows up my next question. I was going to say, what T-zone's been looking good for you as of recent? Because I know it's either that or like, the Bugs Bunny ball, whatever. Something's striking, and it ain't fucking reactive.
Well, before I answer that, Rob, bring up that last comment again. Got to make sure we give a shout out to our special Bonnie Rabiles. I hope I said that correct, but watching all the way from Japan. Thank you so much for being here, Bonnie. That's awesome. I don't even know what time or day it is there. So good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
Konnichiwa.
Yeah. My big, for me, it's always the feel of the finger grips. So if the finger grips, I never change finger grips. I'll get rid of a ball before I change finger grips. Wow. And if the finger grips feel good, I'll throw a ball forever. My last T-zone was an Indigo Swirl. It used to weigh 15 pounds. By the time I retired it, you could put your finger down the finger grip and touch the ball halfway down. And it was probably only about 13 pounds, 12 ounces of how much of it was chunked out. Yeah. But I used that for probably 4 years. Now I've gone to a night sky T-zone, which is black with sparkles, and it's gorgeous. If I need a little bit more tip, I've got a 2000 grit hammer axe, which is probably the ball that I throw the most of anything these days, no matter what the pattern is. I mean, I went 30 clean at the BJ this year with 728 throwing an axe. Never even considered throwing anything else at USBCs other than that. And then if I really, really want a bigger plastic ball, then, it used to be Visiballs, because Visiballs always outhooked. Yes, and any T-zone, white dot, you name it. T-zones or Visiballs, you could actually create down lane motion. It's a little bit harder nowadays with the no extra hole rule, but no, right now I'm just, I'm into my black night sky T-zone right now. That's my
living legend.
It's real pretty going down the lane. So
never seen anybody strike on the planet as much as this dude with plastic. It's so impressive.
Thanks, brother. It is definitely one part of my game that I have the utmost confidence in myself with. I will bowl anybody with a plastic ball, including Jesper Svensson. Including Simo. I would.
Right.
Including Ocho.
I'm gonna tell him that. We're gonna get that for the.
That would be. I would love to. And what I'll do is I will not practice either.
Wow.
What if I got to lose? Jesper's got everything to lose if I bowl.
That's true.
He's one of the best in the world.
6 or 9 shots in, then also.
But yeah, I appreciate the compliment. That was very, very nice.
So. Yeah, man. First time I went to Vegas and I saw this dude throwing it, I'm just like, what is he throwing? Plastic, and it's running over the 9, and I'm just like, dude's gross.
It was gross. Questions from the chat here. Elise, are you happier not being on a ball staff? It appears you are having loads of fun throwing all brands.
Oh, yeah. Like I kind of said earlier, no one can fire me. It's great. Not that I've ever been fired from a ball staff, but I'm having more fun not only seeing different reactions, but just being able to kind of do my own thing. I think there comes a little bit more responsibility being specifically on a ball staff, which I do love having that responsibility, but now with our YouTube channel, I love that I can show the community everything again, I've been very fortunate to have all the brands help me in my career. So now to be able to showcase all of them on our YouTube channel, that's really what makes me the happiest, is that I really do have a great relationship with all the brands, and kind of get to pick out the good from the bad. Every company is going to have both of those. So yeah, for me, I like throwing everything, but it's the community aspect of it that I can give my real honest opinion and make sure that people aren't buying 3 of the same bowling ball and they're making more educated decisions when purchasing through their pro shops.
Good, right?
Yeah, because some ball review channels like to say that every ball is good. So I like to be the one that kind of gives you the real, every ball can look good in a ball review channel, like one video but
we talked about that on one of the shows a long time ago. And it's like when you grab somebody who can throw the ball at 500 revs, like, how good is this ball? And it's like, well, you're bowling on a fun house pattern, a big red wiffle bat. Of course it looks good. It hits the pins good. It does when you got 500 revs.
Yeah, and the other thing about it also is that every bowling ball is good for somebody.
Yes.
Like I can't tell you how many people told me the Black Widow Ghost is a piece of shit and that it never ever hooks.
Yeah.
I love the Black Widow Ghost. I loved the Defender Hybrid. I never saw anybody else fucking throw it.
Mm-hmm.
There's balls out there that people love, and like I'll see somebody throw. What's that motive ball that looks like a gumball?
It's the Evoke.
The Evoke. When I watch that thing go down the lane, like it pains my soul. It looks so atrocious going down the lane. Not the colors, the motion to me.
Yeah.
But there are 3 or 4 really, really good bowlers up here in Jersey that swear by that ball.
Yeah.
I mean, there's always balls for everybody, but I like your approach, at least, because you're not the guy on the 10-to-1 house pattern wheeling the entire lane with every ball, making every ball look exactly the same. You can curve the ball, you can throw the ball straight. So you're actually really, really it's a really good viewing for somebody to watch you talk about these balls, because I think it's a little bit more relatable. There's only so many people out there that can loft the left cap or throw it 22 miles an hour with a 500 plus rev rate. I think, and also what's starting to trend, and this is one of the reasons your guys' channel is so successful, is realness in people is starting to become a trend again. I think everybody's a little bit tired of the people that kind of put themselves behind the mask. No pun intended, Ocho, when they're on the camera. And that was always our gig on this show, was like, I'm always like this. The only thing that makes me different is if you catch me when I'm 8 sheets to the wind, and then I'm like really, really bubbly and incoherent, and I'm probably not going to remember what I did with you the previous night. But other than that, this is you guys know me. This is me on all the time. And I think that's one of the reasons why your channel is so successful, like you said earlier, and also why I think that ours is because, and even if we never got to be as successful as we wanted to, I feel like the way that we are on this channel, at least to me, promotes bringing the kind of people we want in our lives anyway. Like we love everybody that's in our chat every single week, because I feel like we're relatable to some extent also.
Yeah. No, I mean, to give an example of how, like, we're just, I don't even want to say it's relatable, but just like how, like, this is real, is like, I've literally pronounced the name of the balls wrong in the video, and we just left it in there. And it just was the joke. I'm like, we literally got off a plane, I was dead tired, or we drove, and the whole time, neither one of us realized, and we got home, and I was like, oh, whatever. That's it. That's the new name of the ball. Like, I didn't care. Because,
that's great.
Yeah, so now it's a joke that, like, I did it actually yesterday. Again, I was tired, and I just kept saying the Sub-Zero Forge wrong every time. And I'm like, whatever, this is the new thing on the channel that whenever I'm tired, I just say whatever name I want to. Fantastic. But I feel like most channels wouldn't do that, because they're trying to want this certain prestige, or, like, want to be professional. And
just
not
prim
that
and proper. Like, we're not allowed to make a mistake as a bowler.
Yeah.
Right.
If we want to just show, again, we're athletes at the end of the day, and again, we're a 2-person show, so this is the reality. And sometimes I just make up names of whatever ball. But again, I'm trying to show ball motion, so it doesn't really matter. So, yeah, I feel like we don't just try to edit in strikes, because, like, when I throw bad shots, I like to keep it in there so I can be like, hey, like, when I throw a bad shot, like, this is what happens with this ball. Because realistically, that's what you want to see. You want to see what happens when you make a mistake with a ball. So we try to kind of leave those shots in there, where it can be like, hey, I rolled this one. Yeah, for me, if I roll this ball, it's not going to hit the pocket, kind of thing. Which I think some aspect is taken out of some ball review channels, because they just want to show that the ball can strike and make a sale.
I like that. That was really, really good. I agree with that completely. We know every ball can strike. What does it do when it doesn't? That's what makes a ball good or makes a ball great.
Yeah.
I mean, nothing against Belmo, but like here's a new fight. And he's, just fucking burying every single shot. Like, well, number one is Belmo. Number two, it's like, yeah, nobody can relate to that. I mean,
he's like, oh, I grabbed the skee ball from the amusement park, and look, and he freaking just revs it, and he's still maybe a ring in 10, but he carries most of them.
Like what made the balls like the Venom Shock and the IQ Tour and the High Road, just to name a few, so amazing, was that when you missed a little bit in, they 4-pinned. They didn't 4-9. They didn't big 4. When you missed out a little bit, you bucketed or you 2-pinned. You didn't 2-8-10. That's the difference between bowling 2-0 and bowling 230. Those extra 2 hits a game. And that is what separates the great bowling balls from the good bowling balls. We know every ball hits strikes when it hits dead flush. It's, am I going to get 9 or 6 if I miss by 2 with the arrows?
Yeah.
I think the other problem I have with I don't watch a lot of other ball review channels. I just see like different stuff, but I feel like again they're always bowling on like one pattern with it. I try to explain in the video like, hey, if I don't necessarily see what I like out of it on the house shot, which I'm probably not going to see 90% of the time because that's not what I'm looking for anyways. I try to explain like where I might use the ball, like where this ball is going to give me more miss room when I do those certain misses. That I think that some channels aren't giving, because again, at a certain level, we can all strike on a house shot. When you're at a professional level, like I can make any ball strike. I can stand in the same spot and make it strike for you on video. But I try to get left and be like, here is like the farthest I can get with this ball at this surface, or if I wanted to get more back end reaction, I can bring it up. I try to do a lot of that to show how the ball can be used again, because it could be good for one person but awful for me.
Sure.
Next question from Good Vibes Always. Hello, everyone. Been bowling since May and trying to get better every day. My average is about 140. Does anybody have any tips for a new bowler who would like to one day go pro? Thanks in advance for any tips. Thank you for the question.
Our spare shooting video that Elise did such a good job on.
So the first thing you're going to do is you're going to buy a urethane ball, and you're going to stand on 35 if you're right-handed, and you're just going to chuck it to the right. That's what you should do. Oh, and don't put your thumb the whole way in the ball.
You schmuck.
Nate, can you elaborate on that?
This and more on the latest edition of Oh Shit Magazine.
Can you elaborate on what Elise said there, Nate?
Yeah, we had a very interesting comment on one of our videos that somebody was drilling for professionals, and they don't put their thumb all the way in the bowling ball, and that person had a very clear argument that like there's no need to put your thumb all the way in the bowling ball. Now, part of it is true. You can either bowl without your thumb or with your thumb. That's about it. You either put your thumb in or you take it out. You don't put it halfway. This isn't the 1970s, 80s anymore where the partial thumb was in and all that stuff. If you want to be great, now there's a difference between just being good, decent on a house shot, and then there is the difference of being great, like Chris Barnes, JJ, Tom Hess, the EJ, Belmo, Simon, all of them. That is great. The being good on a house shot, sure, then go ahead and do what you want. If that's what you want to be good at, and that's it, and you want to, shoot your 300s every year, your 800 there, be praised by your local association, awesome. Like, love that for you. We have different goals. So. Yeah.
Well, so to the opposite of that, I definitely would say that having a pro shop operator that will work with you, knowing your goals, obviously, if your goal is to not necessarily go pro, but average 220, there, I think is steps to that, unless you just somehow naturally figure something out. But I'm saying even average 220 and go to a local tournament, not just at your local house shot. But obviously having a pro shop operator that knows what they're doing, because that's honestly the most important, because even lessons, like if someone knows what they're telling you to do, even lesson wise, if your fit is wrong, you're still going to go nowhere. So having that, and then I hate to say it, and I know a lot of bowlers hate to hear this, but you do need a coach that knows what they're talking about. I feel like helps get to that next level very quickly. Bowling is, even at the higher level, hard to figure out on your own. And having those two together are definitely a better.
It's also hard to trust like the right person, because everybody and their mother thinks that they're a coach on the internet. Yeah. So you really have to do your research.
Again, I said finding a coach that knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And for Good Vibes Always, I'm going to give you my 10 cents. I'm actually going to dummy it down a little bit for you too, and just throw some numbers at you. Number one, the median average of all sanctioned league bowlers in the United States right now, collectively, is about 175. So if you took all 2 million members, that's the basic average of a league bowler in the United States. So if you're averaging 140 right now, the very, very first thing you should do when you go practice is dedicate at least one game a day to shooting only the corners. Because if you add 2 extra spares a game, if you add 2 extra spares to your game, to your 140 average, you're already 170. So that's your next hump. So I would tie that in with what Elise said. Make sure you have a perfect fit in the bowling ball. I want you to imagine running around a track and trying to compete with the pros in track and field if your shoelace is untied or not tied tight enough. It doesn't matter how well you run. You're not equipped to beat the best in the world without the proper fit. You just can't do it. So I'm also assuming that maybe if you're averaging 140, you still have a conventional grip in the bowling ball. So if you're still going down to the second knuckle, you're eventually going to have to go to a fingertip grip or eliminate the thumb completely and become a two-hander or a no-thumber. But for starters, check on that fit and dedicate at least one game every time you go out and practice to shooting the left and right side corners. Because if you can make a 7-pin or a 10-pin consistently, it then means that you can consistently make the combinations with that pin, whether it be the 6-10 or the 4-7 or the 3-6-10 or the 2-4-7 or just the 8-pin or just the 9-pin. Mm-hmm. And automatically you will see your average skyrocket by those two simple things.
So we did a spare video. If you want to go check that out on our channel.
Oh, yeah. And watch the spare video.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. What is a good ball for starters? I do bowl in a league. I guess it depends on.
Yeah, it depends on how you throw it, really.
Also depends on how you bowl. Like, is higher friction, not a lot of oil.
I mean, you can't go wrong with something right in the middle, like IQ Tour, maybe a Shiny Phase 2 from the Storm product line. The Ion, that's a good option as well. Just something in the middle so you have control, like just a control of the lane.
You could even drill some of the lower price bowling balls nowadays. I think like Vibes and Tropical Surges are what? They're 139 or 149 bucks drilled or whatever it is. I mean, and at that price point, those are extremely high performing bowling balls that are also very controllable.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's see. We got one more here. Nate, what is your favorite ball from Storm?
Oh, that's a good one.
Man, there's been so many. When I get asked this question, just a couple come to mind because I've been to Storm. I've been with Storm for 5 or 6 years. The original Idol I bring everywhere to this day, still with me. The IQ Emerald, also a fantastic piece. Something in the current line that I love right now is the Attention Star and DNA Coil. Those balls have been a great combination where if I need something a little stronger, I go to the DNA Coil. Something a little weaker, I go to the Attention Star. But two great ASIM pearls that I love to throw all the time. And one or two is always going with me if I'm bringing several bowling balls to an event. Off the top. The XL is also very good. I love the XL. It's a big ASIM, but not as big as like a Gem or maybe the new Ion Max that's coming out. But those have been kind of my standout bowling balls so far. So, and anything short, I love the Pitch Black. So,
I love watching your ball motion. Typically, all the time, but that Attention Star looks really good on you for sure.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that.
I wish that ball worked for me. I
know.
I was so excited to drill it, and then it just did not do what it does for him for me.
What are you enjoying right now, Elise, on your side? What do you like throwing?
Gosh,
NV Tour and NV Tour Pearl.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, this pure NV that just came out
is gonna be the third NV.
I'm very much an NV girl. But no, honestly, I have liked almost everything I've drilled. Like he said earlier, everything kind of works differently for different people. And I bowl in so many different places, so many different lanes that I find use for a lot of the stuff I've been drilling. And now I've been playing around with more pin down stuff. So, but no, honestly, every company has a lot of good balls out right now. So I'm just trying to figure out when I'm trying to put 9 balls together is actually harder for me now because I'm like, oh, I like 2 in this zone and 3 in this zone. And it's like trying to figure out which are going to be the best combination has actually been harder because they're all so good.
You're like a kid in a candy store because you're open to any brand, any make, any model. It's like you can just throw whatever the hell you want. It's like, that's got to be a little bit freeing as opposed to. I'm not saying being tied down to a particular brand is a bad thing, but it's kind of cool that you have any option, honestly.
Yeah, And I mean, here's the thing, and I'll say it, I've been on every company at this point, and they all roll differently, you know, and it's not just about, you know, so an ace and pearl is going to roll differently from every company. So that's just the reality of it because they all make their balls so differently. So I'm enjoying like trying to piece together, like sometimes Motive rolls way better than Storm in a certain building because there's higher friction, and Brunswick rolls better than Storm sometimes. So for me, it's not even just like having each different bowling ball. It's like what is working. Like I can look around and be like, all right, who's bowling well? Oh, the Motive people are bowling well this week. Okay, like let's see what I have. So that's really what I think has been helping my bowling is that, you know, a lot of people just say that that's the case, but it, you know, they don't want to believe it, but it is very true that it sometimes just the covers of the bowling balls between the different manufacturers make a huge difference in pin carry. So it's not even necessarily having the right ball motion in my hand, it's having the right company in my hand at the right time, which has helped me a lot. So I think that's what was great about Tour is I could look around and be like, all right, Storm striking right now. All right, let's get something Storm in my hand. If Brunswick striking, great. At the time, I didn't have as much Motive in my hand, so I didn't really have a lot of options there. But now I'm starting to get into that. So next year and the upcoming tournaments should be even better because now I know I have the ability to do a lot of different things. And now if I can just have that extra advantage of if a certain company is rolling better, I can put it in my hand and make good shots.
Nate, I don't want to put you in a heat with Storm, but you know, we kind of talked about this off air as well a little bit. Do you feel like being tied down to one company is a disadvantage?
Every, I think, situation has its advantage and disadvantages. If you don't know how to use the tools in front of you, whether you're a free agent or not, I think that is just a disadvantage in general. You could be given the world, but if you don't know how to use the tools, you're just as, you're just as much at as a disadvantage to somebody that just can't produce proper ball reaction. Like, it just depends. Like, I mean, for me, I haven't had an issue. Ever since I've signed with Storm, I feel like my career has gone this way. So they've made amazing products. I have struck an absolute shitload with all of their balls. And yeah, everything has just been fantastic. Obviously, like Elise said, every company is making great products right now, and everybody's trying to compete for that, number one spot. But everybody is doing what they feel like is best to make their product superior than the other. And, you know, I think that it's a great time for bowling right now because everybody has so many great options. Growing up, when I wasn't with any ball company, I did throw exclusively like Brunswick Deviate when it first came out at the time. And I feel like that was the era that Storm was like the best. Just, you know, growing up, like I didn't really know what Storm was. My guy was a Brunswick guy and he pushed me on the Brunswick Deviate stuff. And for me, that stuff rolled amazing at the time. I still threw like some Infernos and, you know, the Deviate Hellraisers and like the 2 Reckless and stuff like that. And I thought that was great, but I didn't know that there was more than just one ball company out there. I was just kind of like, I trusted my ball guy. He's like, this is what it was. When I first drilled my Storm ball, I'll never forget it. It was a Defiant Soul. And I struck a lot with that ball. And then I got into like high roads and I struck a lot with that ball. And then through some hammer products, and I had the original Black Widow, whatever at the time, and like a Black Vibe, and like I was striking a bunch. So it's just knowing what's in front of you and knowing how to use those tools, I think gives you a great advantage or a disadvantage. I mean, everybody can sit here and have their opinions about, you know, this company doesn't do this and this company doesn't do that. Well, then let's go look at the tour. EJ's been with Motive forever, and he has 22 titles. And Walter has been with every company and he wins. So
Nate, you literally just took the words out of my mouth. I was literally sitting here waiting to say what you just said. I'm so glad you said it. If you look at history, Rob, just to feed off what he said about using the tools, Walter Ray has been with every single company. Pete Weber through AMF, Columbia, and then eventually Storm, who he's still with. We've seen Norm Duke throw Columbia. Champions. I've seen him win with an absolute Inferno, Storm, AMF, you name it. He's thrown everything and been successful his whole career. And then you take guys like Parker Bone, who's one of the greatest to ever play the game, and he's thrown nothing but Brunswick since 1987.
Yeah.
It's all how you use the tools. I do agree with what Elise said. There are weeks out there where the typical storm motion is better than, say, the typical Brunswick motion or the typical motive motion. We do see it happen frequently.
Yeah.
It's kind of mellowed out a little bit more since now Brunswick has control of all the 7 brands. But you knew if it was a storm week, you could just see 10 of the top 15 names are all storm guys, whether they're lefty, righty, hooking it, or throwing it straight. So, I mean, I love all the facts that you two just spit, and I just wanted to add my 10 cents there too.
Yeah, at the end like, sorry, not to cut you off.
No, you're fine.
Yeah, at the end of the day, like
I 100% agree with that statement, by the way. So, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's definitely the ball.
It's not the ball.
I will say my number one pet peeve, and I've heard this from friends. I'm not gonna call out friends. I've heard this from competitors. I've heard this from anyone who's like, that switches brands. Oh, these balls suck. It's definitely the balls. I need to go to a different brand. And I'm like, no, you suck. Like, oh, I didn't have enough balls this week to strike. It was because someone else got to drill 5 balls and I did. Like, no, like, just, I know for me, and like, I'm not even top % in the world right now, that I could bring 6 balls into a tournament and I can make the cut. Like, that's just a reality. As long as I do a good job of picking 6 that are going to give me.
That just goes back to preparation.
Yeah, no, but not even just preparation. Like, I've learned to use different tools, like your speed, your axis rotation, like everything. Like, the ball, it doesn't matter. The best in the world are going to beat you with 1 ball, even if you come in with 70 balls. Like, it's just the reality of it. Because they, again, if you see what's in front of you, yeah, they might not strike as much, but they're still going to strike enough to beat you. And still have a chance to win. That's just the reality of it.
That's very true.
So I hate when I see these bowlers that go company to company and they're like, oh, these balls suck. You know, then they go to a different company. I'm like, no, why don't you go practice?
Well, I'm like, well, you just said that their balls suck, but you sign with them.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
I just, yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that.
People are interesting.
Yeah, you got that right.
As we wrap it up here, my baby girl just got home, so it's time to wrap it up. Let me leave you guys.
Word for your Kentucky Fried Chicken just showed up.
Oh, wow. She is a smart one. She decoded the Rad Rob message.
Own it.
Let's leave this way. Just looking forward towards the future. Nate, you mentioned not bowling as many PTQs and stuff like that, and it's something I didn't think you were going to bring it up, but as one big subject that we did talk about when we met, and we saw Boog come out, we saw D-Ron come out, and a lot of players come out of the PTQs. I would hope that would give you some, say, enthusiasm towards it, saying that it can happen. But I also understand the other side. It's a tremendous grind.
Not only is it the grind financially, so if there's any backers that want to front my whole tour, I would greatly entertain conversation. But you know, I've done that I was very fortunate enough to bowl the tour for 3 years without having to worry about a PTQ. And then when there was a PTQ, I'll never forget it. First one I bowled, Oklahoma, 13 people, and they took 7. And AJ Rice was actually in that one. And I made it out of that one, obviously. But those were PTQs back then, where they couldn't even fill the main field. And only 13 guys showed up to bowl the PTQ. And they're going to take, 3 to 5 minimum. There's going to be 90 guys that show up. And if there's not, honestly, they're smart, because taking only 3 to 5 in a huge field is unrealistic. Like, we've had PTQs, and I've actually done it to where there was actually like 90 people for 8 spots. It was ridiculous. Like, if you're not matched up in that building and have like, you know, I'm not saying that I don't get help, but if you don't have like the ball reps like right behind you, they know the building, they know the oil, they know like what balls work there.
Watching the people in front of you.
Getting pair to pair. Like, there's so much that goes into that.
Shaking out the nerves for the first half a game.
Yeah, like, and it's a sprint. Like, there was PTQs where we bowled 7 games instead of 8. I think there was a couple where we bowled 6. Like, and those 6 games define if you can go compete with the best in the world, and that sucks. But I've done it for like 4 or 5 years, and I'm not saying that I haven't made them out. I made it out of the World Series twice. I made it through the PTQ, the TOC once. I made it through the Players this past year, striking. And I've had my success out there and gotten them checks and stuff like that. But that's obviously not the main goal. But it's mainly.
You also missed PTQs, almost averaging 230. So it's
I've made it,
and that's what sucks about it.
Yeah, well, I even made it through the PTQ at the Players, and I went 500 over, averaging 220, and I missed a check by over 200 pins. So it's
like you're not necessarily bowling bad. You're just like
it's just they're striking a little bit more, and it is what it is, and you go back to the drawing board and you learn and stuff like that. But it's really the financial sense of it. Like, should I give up a weekend or a week where I have to go bowl a PTQ, and if I don't make it, then I got to fly home and, maybe miss that tournament on the weekend that I can make $1,000, $2,000 out if I crush them, which sometimes, most of the time I do. And that's not me being cocky. That's just me putting in the work and me making, good decisions with my money. But, definitely open to the conversation if people want to, put me out there for PTQs and stuff like that. But I am still bowling the couple that I'm allowed to bowl. To me, just the way our tour is right now, it doesn't make a whole lot of financial sense unless you have the money or have someone putting you out there to bowl those 7-game sprints and be on the road. And, if you miss, okay, take it on the chin. We'll go to the next one. Like, it's tough.
Can we start a hashtag Long Nate GoFundMe to get him on tour this year? I think
that would be amazing.
That would be amazing.
The most amazing thing about that is how much freer your swing is when you have the financial stability. And I think that gets overlooked a lot too. The same way it gets overlooked if you have a rep in the back helping your every move at the PTQ as far as ball motion. If you get up in the 10 frame, it's a little bit of a different mentality if going in, hey, if I strike right here, I make $1,200 this week. But if I don't, I got to figure out how I'm going to pay for the hotel next week.
Yeah.
It's an entirely different mentality where, like, I was talking about this with my dad real quick, Rob. I know it's time to wrap up, but like these guys that are on the PGA Tour and the Tour Championship in the top 30, I know that second place was 10 million and third place was 8 million and fourth place was 6 million. But I promise you, if they miss a 5-footer, it's not from the nerves over the $2 million.
Yeah.
It's maybe they miss at the putt, but their only focus is to win because they're still going to clear $100-something million this year.
For sure.
It's a little bit of a different mentality.
Yeah, I mean that, and also they have sponsors paying them and all that other stuff, so they have income coming in now. Am I saying that I'm deserving of like a Simo paycheck? No, but there are some people that have the backer situation that they never have to worry about, and sometimes they even take it for granted. They're like, oh well, I missed this week, whatever, it's not even my money. And I'm just
or they're not even practicing.
I'm like, I don't know how you have that mentality to, one, waste someone's time and money, and two, just to not give a shit if you're competing against the best in the world. Like, my goal was to win, to be in the Hall of Fame, to be like, somebody that left a legacy that people can look up to. Not once am I going to say, yeah, I just don't give a shit. Like, and it's not my money. I feel like I'm not even wasting my time. I'm wasting the person's time. Like, I could never be that kind of guy. Like, everything that I have gotten in my career, my bowling adventure, like, I can sit back and say that I've earned every single cent and every single trophy and everything that has happened to me. No one has ever given me anything. There have been plenty of people that have counted me out and said, this dude is shit. We don't care about him. We don't believe in him. And thankfully to the sponsors that I have that have stuck by me from day one, I will be forever grateful for. And that's just a testament to, like, I ride with the people that always believed in me when I was nothing.
And I want everyone to know I was with him before he was nothing. So when he has 40 titles, I was not here for the money. Just want to make that known. Thank you.
Just here for the long Nate.
You're a badass lady.
The long Nate.
That's right. I don't know how to segue.
Make that very clear when I'm holding that check on TV.
Yes. I'll leave the same thing with you, Elise. What are you looking forward to with this upcoming tour? How are you plan on staying healthy, get your back in shape? What are you looking forward to, and what are your goals?
Okay, so in 2 weeks, I have the regional that I plan on winning 3 times in a row. I want to be the first person to do that, so they renamed the bowling center after me. So that's the newest goal, the most recent goal that I have. But then me and Nate are actually bowling team trials this year. So this is my first time trying out for Team USA since I hurt myself, and since my last year on team, which has been about like 5 or 6 years. So that'll be exciting. So we're going to start writing down our goals and our exercise plan and everything to kind of get us ready for that in January. And then I'm more of like I have like 2 goals. That's pretty much it right now, is trying to just get through the regional. Oh, and the regional showdown. And then I'll start thinking about tour, because if I can't bowl well at those, then I shouldn't be out on tour. So that's just kind of how it is. And we'll see how it goes from there. And tour will be team trials will be a good way to test my skills, especially on all the patterns, and see how all of my hard work is paying off.
Well, if things do hold up as they normally do, and as you said earlier, you can go out there and compete with the best every single week. We have no doubt here that you'll be successful this year. And same with you, Nate. Just win the TOC and you're exempt. So I mean, then you don't have to worry about it.
It'll be a long week, but I'm gonna get it.
All right.
It's coming.
Well, we absolutely appreciate you guys being here and giving us an hour and 45 minutes of your time. Always good to speak with you two, and just keep plugging away. That's all we can say is we enjoy watching you on YouTube. We enjoy watching you when we have the opportunity to see you bowl, and just nothing but respect for you guys.
Yeah, eating the bike, watering the porch.
That's surfing the gram.
Well, thank you guys. Yeah, I mean,
You know what that means?
To be on here is so much fun, and it's like my favorite day of the week when I get to come back on. So like, it's awesome, and you guys are hilarious. Thank you guys so much for believing in us to be on your show and just in general. And yeah, we can't thank you guys enough.
Thank you for keeping it real and talking about the stuff that people don't want to talk about.
That's what we do here.
Guys, thank you very much.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, guys, have a great night. We'll talk to you later.
You too. Thank you for everyone for watching.
Hell yeah.
All right, guys, another fantastic show, another banger here on Straight Up 5. Just absolutely amazing people. 2 of the classiest in bowling. And I do love that they have the same mentality as us, is they keep it real. They keep it unfettered, especially Elise. She has no problems speaking her mind. Although Johnny can be a little bit fettered sometimes, depending on what mood you're in. But
that's inherited behavior from having to walk on eggshells for a lot of my younger years with Dad's legacy.
True.
Right, now
I've always wanted to be an asshole, or at least not an asshole, but I've always wanted to be like a little bit more of a dick.
As Miyagi said, "Now time let out."
That's a good point. Chuck Ritchie wants to know, Rob, you're going to hang out with the 50 guys in Smyrna in 2 weeks.
Just shake him left-handed because he's got chicken grease all over that right hand, and he's a lefty too, so that's the other issue.
Any chance I get to hang out with 50 guys? It's a good day with me. I'm just saying.
Good to have goals, buddy. Some people collect stamps.
No, the PBA 50 is coming to Smyrna, Tennessee here in 2 weeks for a regional event. Yes, I plan on being there as much as I can. Now that I work from home, don't tell anybody. I may hang out there quite a bit and see the.
So you work from home now, and you still get sick every other week. This is
my kid brings it home. Come on, it's your dad. You understand the kid.
It's a petri dish. They got the new stuff. You should be immune to this shit by now, especially you.
You would think.
Christ, you've had every freaking thing beyond your patient zero at this point with all the shit you've had in the last 2 years.
Maybe you should try surf gramming.
Yeah, maybe I just
start eating the bike.
If I eat the bike instead of the chicken, then maybe I'll stay healthier. That's true.
You really said eating the bike?
Johnny, I love it. That has to be on a shirt.
He was serious about it. Surfing the gram.
My voice is about to go out, so I appreciate you guys.
Thank you as always, and be sure to tune in next week for a very, very special John's birthday / worst day in American history episode. Good old September 11th. It's my last week as a 30-something-year-old.
Hashtag never forget. That's true. Yeah, that's
never forget Johnny's birthday.
That's right. We never. All right, my kid wants to go to bed. We love you guys. We appreciate you guys. Thank you for hanging out with us. Fuck Doc Sullivan and sorry, don't earmuffs. You didn't hear that. We'll see you next week for a celebration of Johnny Petraglia Jr. and his 40th birthday.
All you gotta do is say earmuffs. I think you say like fuck, shit, bitch, cock, balls.
And nothing compares to the fair. Just saying. Hashtag long.
Nothing compares to the fair.
All right, guys. We'll see you next week. We'll see you next week. Take care. Peace out. Goodbye. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the Dr. Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio.